quarterback Malcolm Butler played just one snap in Super Bowl 52 on special teams, which was a surprise to many and led to sustained questioning of Coach Bill Belichick after the Pats lost to the Eagles. But according to New England safety Devin McCourty, the team knew the plan all along. He told New Jersey Advance Media, quote, "We all knew he wasn't starting all week. That wasn't a secret to the guys on the team. I get why people are fishing. The guy played 98% of the plays. I just hate that for him, character-wise, going into free agency, it's just not true. As far as I knew, and I was there all week, not one time did anything come up." More First Take coming up right now.
All right, so as you just heard, Devin McCourty says the Malcolm Butler benching was not a mystery, that he and the defense were aware all week, but it was solely because of football reasons. Stephen A., are you buying what McCourty's saying?
No, I don't. I think he's lying. And I don't say that to insult him. I think his heart's in the right place. He's trying to look out for his his soon-to-be former teammate, Malcolm Butler. I totally get where he's coming from, but I don't believe him for 1 second. I saw Malcolm Butler on that sideline crying while the national anthem was being played. We were told that he learned right before then that he wouldn't be playing. I believe that if Malcolm Butler had known all along that he wasn't going to be playing all week long, I think that Teddy Bruschi would have known that. I think that Willie McGinnis would have known that. I think there's a plethora of former Patriots who would have known that. I think that Rowe, who replaced him, would have talked about that in the locker room post-game after they lost the Super Bowl. He would have mentioned that. I think that there's a host of other individuals who would have had answers that they would have been able to give the media as opposed to allowing this story to percolate. Even if they said nothing, that would be different. But everybody to a man seemed surprised and taken aback by what happened to Malcolm Butler. I'm not buying this story one bit. Everybody knows how much I revere Mr. Robert Kraft. I had a lot of respect and a lot of love for the man. I've gotten to know him personally, and we communicate all the time. We recognize Tom Brady as arguably the GOAT. The New England Patriots are not to be denied in terms of their greatness, and Bill Belichick is recognized as the greatest coach of the modern era. I have never spoken against Bill Belichick until this Malcolm Butler situation happened. I think it was an exercise in cruelty. I think every free agent should think twice about going to play for the New England Patriots and going to play for this man. I understand it as a business, but it is a game as well. And you work your tail off and you do everything you can to position yourself for the moment, which is a Super Bowl. Malcolm Jenkins played 97.8% of the snaps for the 2017.
Malcolm Butler, Stephen A.
Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
Why do I keep saying Malcolm Jenkins? Malcolm Butler played 97.8% of the snaps. He played 100% of the snaps in the playoffs against Tennessee and then Jacksonville. All right, he showed up the week, even though he wasn't practicing well because he wasn't feeling that great. He was gearing himself for Super Bowl Sunday. Don't tell me he knew all along. And maybe McCourty is right about this. Maybe they knew he wasn't going to start. But no one knew that he would not play one single defensive snap in the entire Super Bowl. That was an exercise in cruelty on the part of Bill Belichick, the likes I have not seen. And as far as I'm concerned, any player should think twice about going to play for this man after a move like that. Because if I could bust my tail and put my health on the line all year long, and then we get to the biggest moment that's possibly imaginable, and you could sit up there and get rid of me at that particular moment in time. What incentive do I have to want to play for you? McCourty can say what he wants. I don't believe him. I don't believe anybody who tells me Malcolm Butler knew that he was not going to be playing in the Super Bowl. I don't believe that for 1 second.
Look, McCourty has come out and said, he was quoted as saying that he doesn't want, he's saying this because he doesn't want the perception to be that Malcolm Butler is a malcontent who's a problem in the locker room, and that'll affect his free agency.
Sure.
As I say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Maybe that's even worse because really what he's saying is actually Malcolm Butler's not good enough anymore, so therefore not worth the money. But at least McCourty's intentions, it seems to be, are to take care of Malcolm Butler. At least that's his stated intention. So you do see motive to not be truthful, right? I don't think he's being untruthful here. I think that on a football team, there are a lot of players. There's a lot of information. Sometimes the assumption among one player or a subset of players is that the entire group has the same information that they do. That's not always the case. So it's possible that in his perception, Malcolm Butler, or everyone knew that knew that Malcolm Butler wasn't going to start at least, right? And then somehow you play telephone and that turns into not playing whatever. What I have a bone to pick with really here, Stephen A., is not even your contention that you think he's not telling the truth. It's the idea that here Belichick is being cruel, and that the need to be cruel here overrides his need to win. In my experience watching Belichick, as much as we all have, right? And in our profession, we have to watch him quite a bit because he's almost always in the Super Bowl. It seems to me that particularly when you get to the Super Bowl, throughout the course of the season, I can't actually say all Belichick is thinking about is winning this game right now, because there are long-term goals that he has as the GM and coach of the team. Maybe he can't put 100% effort into winning the game this Sunday because he has to think about 2 Sundays from now. Okay. But as it relates to the Super Bowl, all Bill Belichick is calculating in his own mind, the calculus that he's doing is, how do I give the New England Patriots the best chance to win the game today? And I have to believe that Belichick thought not playing Butler gave them the best chance to win that day.
So, Max,
and
you're
by the
buying
way,
that it's just football? Are you
I don't
guys
mean
buying
make no
that
sense.
it's just football reasons?
Belichick came out at first and said football reasons, and then amended it to say it was a variety of
remember
reasons.
he missed the team playing and all that other drama.
Can I ask a question? May I ask you a question, Max?
Calculation Belichick makes, it's to win the Super Bowl, of course.
Let me ask you a question, Max. Really, you're gonna sit up there with a straight face on national television and tell me that a cornerback who's played 97.8% of the snaps for the entire season, played 100% of the snaps against Tennessee, played 100% of the snaps against Jacksonville, suddenly doesn't give you the best chance to win 2 weeks later in the Super Bowl?
He got bad against the Jaguars. His play did fall off.
Right. So not only is that exactly what I'm saying, and Molly just gave you a piece of evidence that supports that. But
I
can respond to
that.
Do you mean to tell me that Bill Belichick, it was more important that he stood on principle than win the Super Bowl? Is that what you're saying?
Excuse me, I don't have to say that. There have been numerous players that have come on the air with us and said it depends on which players he likes. They've said it to us.
In that case.
Hold on, whoa. Don't give me that in that case. They have come on the show and said it. So, in other words, it's not if that's the case. It is the case. They've said it to us.
I'm not saying if that's the case.
Right.
I'm saying in that case.
Okay, then what?
Let's assume that's true. That's true. That's Bill Belichick's overall calculation. Do you know what that calculation produces? More Super Bowl appearances and more Super Bowl wins than anyone else's calculation. In other words, he has the best way of doing it. And by the way, they came 1 play away from winning the Super Bowl again.
Time out. Let's be very, very clear. First of all, Molly, I appreciate you bringing that stuff up about how he got burnt against Jacksonville. Okay? I also remember Rowe getting burnt in the Super Bowl.
He did.
So, again, we're not talking about Malcolm Butler not starting. Remember, he was sick. He got to the team a day later. He wasn't practicing strong that week because he still wasn't 100%. The point is that once Rowe got burnt, for him not to play, to go from playing 100% of the snaps to not a single snap, for a numbers guy like Max Kellerman to sit up there and act like, excuse me, there wasn't something other than football that was involved in this? Come on, y'all. Stop it.
What assuming does.
Stop it.
That's a beautiful mind.
That's what,
smarter than I am.
He's trying to win
At the end of the day, McCourty tries to
defend
him, but then it shows that he's lying. So I'm lost. But we got to leave it there, guys. We got a lot more to discuss. Tim Tebow showing signs of brilliance on the baseball field last season in the minors. Find out how long until Tebow is taking cuts for the Mets at Citi Field. And this, the LeBron James, Laura Ingraham controversy has dominated headlines this weekend. How should white America feel about this back and forth? Will Kane joins us next.
You know we have always been known for our ribs, but now we have new ribs.